Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to ForgottenWeapons.com. We're taking a look at a question that came up just a short time ago. We posted some information from an article about Pakistani AK-47 rifles that were rechambered with an 8x33 Kurtz chamber, so that they could fire 8x33, swaging the bullet down to 7.62 millimeters, and they could also fire 7.62x39, which would result in a blown out case, but it would work. So one of the questions that occurred to me that my original source article didn't really touch on was, what kind of magazine would you use in that rifle? It looks like, from what I could find on the net, that the most common thing is to use a standard 7.62x39 AK magazine. So we pulled out some AK mags. We pulled out some 8mm Kurtz ammo. This is 1944 production, original German ammo. And we wanted to take a look at how this actually works. So this, of course, is an original German StG magazine. These cartridges fit very nicely in there. They work great. But this obviously won't fit in an AK. For one thing, it's too short. For another thing, it's too wide. And it doesn't latch in the same way. So a typical AK-47 mag, a 7.62 AK mag, would be any of these three. Set them out here. And to get an idea for how these would work with 8mm Kurtz, we got a normal one, we have a clear one that we can see through, and we also pulled out a cutaway so we can get an idea of what exactly is happening inside here. Now, we were able to load these to a maximum of about 26, maybe 27 rounds. The 8mm Kurtz is wider in diameter than the 39 round, so it takes up more space and you can't get 30 rounds into a magazine. As you can see here along the back, they stagger in there. The magazine is wide enough to accommodate them. And it seems like they might actually work reasonably well. I did get some correspondence from a Pakistani fellow who has one of these rifles, and he says the magazines work without any problem. He says he loads 20 rounds. Now this one, we went ahead and loaded, I think we have somewhere between 10 and 15 in there, and they work. You can see obviously the rounds are too short, or shorter than the magazine was designed for. And so there's a little extra travel, and that's potentially going to cause some malfunctions, but not necessarily a whole lot. If you look at the back of the magazine, there is plenty of case head exposed, so the bolt should have no trouble picking that up. And coming off the front of the magazine, we have a good angle on it there, you can see the tip of the bullet is exposed. So this should, most of the time, feed up into the chamber rather than nosediving into the front of the magazine. Now, one element, well, I should say, if you look here, these are stacking reasonably well, and you can see that through the clear magazine as well. One issue we were thinking we might run into is if you compare the taper of the 8x33, which is minimal, to the taper of the 7.62x39, which is more significant, we figured we might have some issues with the rounds not stacking well once you got more than just a couple in the magazine. And that doesn't really seem to be the case. They seem to fit in there fairly well. Now, one problem we did find, there are, let's see, little dimples on the inside of the magazine on all standard AK mags, and those are supposed to rub on the neck of a 7.62x39 cartridge and just help keep them properly aligned. And they aren't really sized right for 8x33. So you'll get cases, let's see if I can get it to do this. Yeah, there's an example of where the cartridge impinged on this little detent in there, and it pushed it down into the nose of the magazine instead of up into the chamber. So let's get that guy out of there. Yeah, and there it just did it again. So I don't know, I think that's partly just this magazine, because it doesn't seem to be the case on some of the others that we have. Well, except for that. Clearly the short overall length of the cartridge contributes to some problems. Now, if you were able to take some time and find some magazines that worked particularly well, you might be able to get this to work without too much trouble. Now, the second part of this that I wanted to look into was, if we're going to have some issues with overly curved magazines, what about magazines for 5.45 or 223 AKs? So we'll start with, we have a Bulgarian 5.45 magazine here, and this is quick and easy. This is not going to work at all. The feed lips are too narrow for me to press a cartridge in. So you can still sort of load one, but it's really difficult. We have to press down the follower and slide the round in backwards, kind of like loading some 22 mags. That might work, but it's so much of a pain in the butt to load that you're not going to want to do it. So that's out. As for a 223 magazine, this particular one is a Galil magazine. Well, the 223 case is a lot narrower in diameter than 8 Kurtz, and the magazine itself, as a result, is also significantly narrower. This leads to the 8mm rounds stacking much farther apart. So let's set up a couple cartridges here. If you would get a typical stack like this in an AK magazine, when you go to a 223 mag, they're narrower, and so they space out much more widely. You can see that looking down the tips of the cartridges here. I don't know if we can get a good view with the camera, but as a result, I was able to get 9, maybe 10 rounds into this full-length Galil mag before it was done. I didn't want to take any more. Other than that, if you're willing to accept a 10-round capacity, it seems to be reasonably reliable. It's okay, except when it does that. Maybe we'll skip the Galil mag for this. Anyway, I hope you guys found this vaguely interesting. I was curious what we'd get with 8x33 in AK magazines, and there you go. So we'll continue to look into this because it's an interesting thing. We may eventually even rebore ourselves an 8mm Kurtz AK just for kicks. So stay tuned. If we do that, you can find it here on Forgotten Weapons. Thanks for watching.